Welcome to the Dairy News and Views podcast, a production of the Iowa State University Extension and Outreach Dairy Team. Our podcast covers current educational, research, and industry tools available for your operation to manage healthy cows and calves while producing the highest quality dairy products.
On this Uplevel Dairy Young Leaders podcast, I'm turning the mic over to a trio of up-and-comers in dairy industry communication to interview 3 Dairy Challenge alumni who shared their experiences on a panel I had the opportunity to moderate at the Midwest Dairy Challenge held in Green Bay last February. This is the Young Leaders series for producers and professionals in the first 5 years of their dairy careers. I'm Peggy Coffeen, and it's my mission to connect you with others who are like you, driven to make a difference and determined to do it in the dairy industry. So whether you are on the farm or in the field, this is the place to plug in to hear how your peers are overcoming challenges and stepping up to lead the way as dairy's future innovators, decision makers, and movers and shakers. If you know someone in the first 5 years of their dairy career, send them a link to the show that's created just for them. If you aren't familiar with the Dairy Challenge, it includes competitions held in 4 regions across the U.S., in addition to the national competition, which was just held last week. For nearly 2 decades, Dairy Challenge has connected dairy science students and universities with producers and industry professionals in a forum that's educational and fun. It also offers opportunities for students interested in dairy industry communications to share their skills, including these 3 social media interns who all happen to be students from Iowa State University. I had the opportunity to work with them, and let me tell you this, they will be putting me out of a job someday. They are taking turns in the hosting seat to interview 3 Dairy Challenge alumni. You will hear Nichole Gerard interview Prom from Cargill. Torri Burch sits down with dairyman Tony Schmitz from Schmitz East Branch Dairy. And Irene Nielsen chats it up with Liz Schiebelbein from Phibro Animal Health. And you'll get to hear Torri and Irene talk about their own experiences with the Dairy Challenge as competitors and social media interns. And you get to hear it all right here today on the Uplevel Dairy Podcast.
My name is Nichole Gerard, and I'm a Dairy Challenge social media intern with Iowa State University. I'm here with Prom, who was just on our alumni panel. Could you introduce yourself?
Sure. Again, my name is Prom. I'm a nutritionist with Cargill in southern Wisconsin. And I went to undergrad at Virginia Tech. I mostly grew up in Virginia, but have ties to the dairy industry in Wisconsin. And I grew up with beef cow-calves and then went to Virginia Tech and double majored in animal science and dairy science. I then, after undergrad, moved to Wisconsin and worked in the industry for 2.5 years before going back for grad school. So I did my master's at University of Illinois with Jim Drakely. Then I did my PhD at Michigan State University with Dr. Locke. And during that, I did not go through the Dairy Challenge program, but I had some really great classes that were basically like that during undergrad. And then during my time in grad school, I was able to help coach and just do a little bit of mentoring through the program.
Awesome. Tell us about your student experience with Dairy Challenge.
So I didn't do it when I was in undergrad, but as a coach at Illinois or just helping assist at Illinois and Michigan State, I was able to give feedback and listen to the students give their presentations and just help guide them throughout the year.
So what have you taken away that's helped you in your career?
So I think the biggest things about Dairy Challenge is just learning how to work with others, how to listen to what the farmers want. I think the most important thing before you make any recommendations to a farmer is knowing what their goals are and making sure that what you're recommending is aligning with them and helping them get to where they want to be. I think learning how to work in a team and make sure everyone has space to speak and be a part of that team is also very important and will help any student or anybody in their career fields.
Yeah. So how do you suggest these students use these experiences after they leave the competition?
So I think the biggest thing or one of the best things about Dairy Challenge is networking and the doors that it opens. So here at Dairy Challenge is a great time to start with that. Go around, meet the farmers, the industry members, the mentors, everybody else who's volunteering, go up, shake their hand, ask them a little bit about themselves and their experiences. You might think that you'll never run into that person who's 2 states away from you and they're doing something completely different than what you want to do or think you want to do. But next thing you know, 5 years from now, you might be a coworker or looking for a job and they're hiring and you're interviewing with them. You could say, I remember meeting you at Dairy Challenge and this is what I thought of the experience. And it's great to see you again. And this is just, it's a great way overall to network and learn more and meet other people. It's a very small industry, so everything that you can do to learn and grow and network is excellent.
What advice do you give to your 20-year-old self?
So I think that when we're younger, we focus on what we want to do. I want to be a veterinarian. I'm going back to my dairy farm. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And we're not necessarily open-minded or realize that there are other paths to get there. And I think something that's very important too is learning what your why is. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to be a part of this industry? And if you do that, you kind of make your own mission statement for yourself that will guide you through career choices, life choices, and really help you get where you're going. And you might learn that it's a completely different path to get there. And your goals, your reason why might change throughout that over the years as well. But just having some guiding principles.
Thank you, Crystal, for joining us. And once again, I'm Nichole Gerard, the Midwest Dairy Challenge.
My name is Torri Burch, and I am a social media intern from Iowa State. And I am here to talk with Tony Schmitz, who was just on our alumni panel. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
I am Tony Schmitz. I'm a dairy farmer in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. My family has 200 milking dairy cows and 800 acres of crops, so I'm overseeing the day-to-day operations at the farm and happy to be here this week to talk to the students about the Dairy Challenge and wish them well as they continue on to the Nationals moving forward.
All right. So as an alumni of Dairy Challenge, tell me a little bit about what your experience was as a student.
I was a participant on the UW Madison team in 2018. We actually were fortunate enough to win in Visalia, California in 2018. So I really enjoyed my time as a member of the team, and I learned a lot of great lessons and skills along the way.
All right. So your experiences with Dairy Challenge, how have those helped you in your career that you currently have?
Yeah, so all of the troubleshooting and social skills that I learned through Dairy Challenge have been invaluable to me in my day-to-day life. Being able to look at records and get on farm and really see how things are going and how things are running are really important skills for producers to be able to step back and take a look at things of areas of opportunity and things that they could work on their own operations. But it's also been a great opportunity for me to network with others in the industry and really get to know people, because although the industry may seem big, everyone seems to kind of know each other. So it's really nice that you kind of get to build that network and meet people along the way.
And now coming back as an alumni and being around all of the students who are competing, what suggestions or tips would you give to these students as they leave this competition going forward?
I would just encourage all the students at the Dairy Challenge to put their best foot forward at all times and just always present themselves the best they can. You'll never know who you're going to meet or who they may know that can refer you into an opportunity that could lead to a career or job in the future. So always present yourself well and work hard and be accountable and dependable, and it goes a long way in this industry.
And then one last question that's a little bit more fun. So what kind of advice would you give to your 20-year-old self now that you have a bit more experience?
I would just tell myself to just keep working and never settle for what's in front of you. Always try to dream and encourage yourself to think outside the box, because you never know what kind of opportunity might be out in front of you. So don't be afraid to dream big, and just continue to meet people and put yourself out there, because the more people you know and the more connected you are, the better off you are to have the resources around you when you may need them for future projects or development.
Sounds great. Well, thank you for taking a couple minutes to talk to us and answer some questions. Again, this is Tony, one of our alumni, and thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Irene Nielsen from Iowa State University, and I'm a social media intern with Dairy Challenge this year. I'm here with Liz Schiebelbein, who is just on our alumni panel. Liz, would you mind telling me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I am originally from the Des Moines, Iowa area. Went to school at Iowa State and graduated in 2015. And I currently work for Phibro Animal Health up in Northeast Wisconsin area.
Very cool. Can you tell me a little bit about your student experience in Dairy Challenge?
Yeah, so I was a part of the Academy and Regional in my senior year. So I did regionals here in the Midwest, and then I did the Academy out in New York in 2015.
And then what did you take away from Dairy Challenge that has helped you in your career?
Yeah, so I'm in more of a consulting role right now in my job. So I go on farms and I help mainly in the pre-fresh, fresh cow area, as well as throughout lactation. So it really was a real world experience for me. So taking what I learned there and then applying it, and as well as it really helps me get outside my comfort zone, be able to give good feedback back to a farm, as well as some opportunities for them. So I do that on a daily basis right now. And so it's very real world for me.
And as you mentioned, it was a huge part of your career. How do you suggest students use this experience going on to their future careers?
Yeah, so this would be something that I would recommend to every student. It definitely pushes you outside your comfort zone. So that's something that I would recommend, to take every opportunity to, even though you don't love presenting, be able to present, speak up in your presentations, talk to the judges, ask the questions to the producer, because that's just real world stuff. That would be one thing I would recommend, is really just step outside your comfort zone through this.
Very nice. And then looking back, what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
I would say I would continue to really just be uncomfortable. That's where you grow the most. That's where you really learn. I didn't want to do Dairy Challenge, but I knew it would really help me in the future, and I'm so glad I did. So I would say be uncomfortable, say yes to every opportunity, because you never know where it's going to take you.
Thank you. Once again, thank you so much, Liz, for coming, and it was really great to hear about your experience in Dairy Challenge and how it helped you in your career.
Yeah, absolutely.
My name is Torri Burch. I'm a senior at Iowa State University. I am majoring in dairy science. I'm actually originally from Western New York, though, so it's been a bit of a jump. But being on this side of Dairy Challenge as a social media intern, having been on the competitive side last year, I will say it's a different pace. Also, I feel like I've gotten more connections, even more with with all of the sponsors and everybody throughout Dairy Challenge being on this side. It's been very nice to have those conversations more in depth this year.
My name is Irene Nielsen. I'm a junior at Iowa State, originally from Michigan, and I have been doing Dairy Challenge for a few years. I have gone twice to Academy, and then last year I went to Midwest. And so it's really been a cool experience to get to see all the behind the scenes, get to speak with the people that are putting on the event, as well as kind of having a more genuine interaction with the producers and getting to learn more from the outside, as you're not competing, not having that kind of pressure on you to get something done. So it's been really great to have those interactions with both the other students, the producers, and then the people here we're working with.
I think for me, Dairy Challenge, one of the biggest things I've taken away from it is real world experiences, but also connections. It's so much more utilizing what we've learned, but not even utilizing what we learned, but being more critical thinkers, and also being more just applying something and having that real world mentality that you're not going to have the perfect situation, and you're actually trying to be proactive while also being conservative for producers on the competitive side. But I also think just the connections you make with Dairy Challenge, that's where your next job is going to be, or your next internship is going to be coming from, or somebody you're just going to know down the road. And I think those are the connections that are going to take you throughout your whole entire career. And the number of people I now know from Dairy Challenge and I see at other events, it's so great to catch up, even if it's not for a career, but just having that camaraderie throughout the dairy industry is something you really get from Dairy Challenge.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think something that I find really unique about Dairy Challenge, it's kind of the perfect place to learn a lot of skills, not necessarily just limited to dairy animal husbandry or working with dairy cattle. I mean, it's a kind of a competition for problem solvers. You come in, you have to identify an issue and then work with a team to find recommendations for that producer. So you're working on a team, so that's a lot of team skills, especially here at Midwest where they're aggregate teams. So schools from all across the Midwest and students kind of being combined, throwing into it. And that's a great opportunity to get to work with different individuals, but also understand different perspectives from around the Midwest, but also under different schools, giving presentations, having to give a professional presentation to judges, and then also being able to have those public speaking skills, to whether it's in your presentation or being able to network here with all the companies that we have here. Because those are skills that can take you beyond the dairy industry, but also just help you with whatever career path they're going on in the dairy industry or without. So I think those are some of the really cool skills that come with Dairy Challenge as well.
Let's hear it for these young leaders, the Dairy Challenge alumni, as well as these social media interns who hosted and took the hot seat today from the Midwest Dairy Challenge. If you'd like to learn more about the Dairy Challenge, head over to dairychallenge.org. And thank you for listening to the Uplevel Dairy Young Leaders Podcast. This is the special podcast series for producers and professionals in the first 5 years of their dairy careers. Find it on Uplevel Dairy Podcast as well as its own platform, Uplevel Dairy Young Leaders, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.
This institution is an equal opportunity provider. For the full non-discrimination statement or combination inquiries, go to www.extension.iastate.edu/diversity/EXT.